everything changes in an instant at Heartland. One choice, one mistake, one moment of fear, and suddenly the people we love are fighting their way back to solid ground. In Episode 7, Fall Down, Get Back Up. The Heartland Ranch becomes a battlefield of emotions, where every character faces a test that could break them or make them stronger than ever. The sun rises over the Heartland Ranch, but the light feels different, heavier, almost warning of the storm to come. The family is already carrying the weight of what happened in the last episode, and now those struggles begin to push even harder. Amy is still shaken after a tough week that made her question her own instincts as a trainer. She loves helping horses heal, but this new challenge forced her to face doubts she hasn't felt in years. That pressure doesn't fade. It follows her like a shadow as she steps into the new day. Across the ranch, Lou is dealing with her own mess. Being mayor was never easy, but the latest complaints from the town have grown louder, sharper, and far more personal. She tries to keep a calm face for her family, but it's clear her confidence has taken a hit. Every decision feels heavier, as if one wrong step could cost her not just her role, but the trust of the people she cares about most. Tim, on the other hand, is trying to outrun the past yet again. The fallout from his earlier choices is catching up to him, pressing against the walls he usually hides behind. He's a man who wants to lead, to protect, to be strong, but even he can't ignore the truth forever. The ranch needs him to stand tall. Standing tall is hard when guilt keeps pulling at your shoulders. Meanwhile, Georgie and Katie face challenges of their own. One stumble in training or one rough day at school can feel like the whole world is falling apart when you're young. Their setbacks echo the episode's theme, reminding us that falling is a part of growing. Each girl must learn what it means to keep going, even when things don't go their way. All of these threads begin to tighten in Episode 7. Everyone is carrying something heavy, something unresolved. The ranch may look peaceful from the outside, but inside, the people who call it home are fighting private battles. And as the episode unfolds, those battles force each character to decide, stay down, or rise again. The tone is emotional, grounded, and full of the quiet tension. Heartland fans love the kind that hints a turning point is coming. Whether the family is ready or not, the quiet morning at Heartland does little to calm Amy's restless mind. She steps into the barn hoping routine will steady her. But even the familiar smell of hay and the soft sounds of the horses can't silence the worry she's been carrying. The horse she struggled with last episode still weighs heavily on her thoughts. She keeps replaying every moment, every reaction, every sign she might have missed. For someone who has always trusted her instincts, this doubt feels like a deep, unexpected fall. As she approaches the horse's stall, it shuffles back with a nervous snort. Amy pauses not out of fear, but out of a heavy awareness that this connection won't come easy. She whispers a calm greeting, keeping her voice steady, even though her heart isn't. She knows this animal mirrors her own emotions, unsettled, guarded, and unsure about the next step. Training a horse like this is never just about technique. It's about trust, patience, and the kind of quiet strength that grows from past scars. Today, Amy challenges herself to start again from the very beginning. No shortcuts, no pushing too hard. She stands outside the stall, letting the horse study her, letting the air settle between them. She reminds herself that healing, whether for a human or an animal, is not a smooth path. It's uneven, full of setbacks, and sometimes those setbacks make you question everything. But this is what Amy has always been best at, rising after she falls and helping others do the same. As she works through the session, there are tiny wins barely noticeable to anyone else, but meaningful to her. A slow step forward, a softer look from the horse, a moment where fear loosens its grip. Each small sign feels like a breath of hope. But there are also setbacks, sudden flinches, tense muscles, hesitation that threatens to undo the fragile progress. Still, Amy holds steady. She reminds herself that healing doesn't happen at the pace she wants. It happens at the pace the horse needs. Later, Jack quietly watches from a distance. He knows Amy well enough to see the struggle behind the calm expression. But he also sees something else: resilience. Amy may be shaken, but she isn't broken. She's fighting her way back, one careful step at a time. proving that even on the hardest days, she refuses to give up on herself or the animals she cares for by the end of the day. Amy isn't fully back to her old self, but she's closer. She hasn't conquered her fear, but she has faced it. And sometimes, that alone is the first real rise after the fall. The episode begins shaping her journey around the theme, you may fall down, but you always get back up. Especially at Heartland, Lou stands in her office long before anyone else arrives. The papers on her desk, letters, reports, angry emails look like harmless sheets, but each one carries a weight she can feel in her chest. Being mayor has never been simple, but lately it feels like every choice she makes upsets someone. Every decision echoes louder than she expected. And episode 7 throws her right into the middle of a storm she can't avoid. She takes a slow breath, but the tension doesn't ease. Her mind keeps circling the same questions. Did I do enough? Did I make the right call? Am I letting everyone down? Doubt is a heavy thing, and Lou feels every ounce of it. She knows that leadership means carrying burdens no one else sees. But even she didn't expect the pressure to build this quickly. The town wants answers, solutions. Certainty, and Lou is afraid that this time she might not have one. At Heartland, she tries to hide it. She forces a smile at breakfast, nods through small talk, acts like everything is perfectly fine. But the cracks show in the quiet moments, the long pauses, the distracted glances, the tired slump of her shoulders. When her family asks if she's okay, she brushes it off. Lou doesn't like showing weakness. She doesn't like admitting she's overwhelmed. She believes she has to be the strong one, the steady one, the dependable one. But even the strongest people bend under too much weight. Later in the day, Lou faces a difficult meeting with town residents. They're frustrated and scared about a situation she's been trying desperately to fix. Their voices rise, accusations sting, and Lou finds herself swallowing the urge to defend every decision. Instead, she listens. She absorbs their fear and anger because she knows leadership isn't about avoiding conflict, it's about walking straight into it, even when it hurts. But afterward, she steps outside and feels the emotional impact hit her like a cold wind. She's trying so hard, yet it feels like she's only falling deeper. Back at the ranch, she seeks a moment alone near the barn. The wide open fields should feel comforting, but today, they only remind her how small she feels. She looks out at the land she's always loved, and for a moment she wonders if she's truly made for this role. She wonders if maybe the fall is too great this time. But then something quiet happens. Jack walks by, offering a simple piece of advice without judgment. He reminds her that every leader falls, but the good ones stand up again. It's not because they're fearless, but because they refuse to run from the hard days. His words don't fix everything, but they give Lou exactly what she needs. A little strength. A little clarity, a little spark of hope. By the end of this section, Lou hasn't solved her problems, but she has found the courage to face them again. She's learning that falling doesn't mean failing. It means you're trying. And like everyone else at Heartland, she's about to rise step by shaky step towards something stronger. Tim wakes before the sun, long before anyone else steps foot outside. He stands near the fence line, staring out at the empty pasture, as if it holds answers he's been avoiding. Tim has always carried a tough exterior, a shell built from years of mistakes, losses, and second chances. But in episode 7, that shell begins to crack in ways he didn't expect. Something from his past, something he thought he had left behind, has returned to test him all over again. He tries to focus on the chores, believing that movement might drown out the thoughts clawing at him. But every clatter of a bucket, every creak of a saddle, every echo in the barn only drags those memories back. Mistakes he made years ago, promises he didn't keep, people he let down. Tim has survived a lifetime of storms, but this one hits deeper because it threatens the identity he's fought so hard to rebuild. He wants to be a better father, a better partner, a better man. But doubt has a way of digging its claws into the strongest people. As he saddles up his horse for a morning ride, his hands tremble just slightly, so slightly that most people wouldn't notice. But Tim notices. He feels the shift inside him, the fear that maybe he's slipping. This episode shows him in rare vulnerability, not loud or explosive, but quiet and heavy. He rides out into the wide-open fields, thinking distance might help him outrun his worries. But the land only reminds him of everything he's built, and everything he could still lose. Later, when he returns to the ranch, a misunderstanding with a family member lights a spark of tension. Words are spoken too quickly, emotions flare, and Tim ends up saying something sharper than he intended. The moment ends fast, but the regret lingers. He hates when he lets anger speak for him. It's an old habit he thought he buried, but now it's CLA. Trying to calm himself, Tim heads to the arena. He watches Amy working with a troubled horse, and a quiet guilt spreads through him. He sees her fighting her own battles, and he realizes how much the family depends on resilience from everyone, including him. For a long moment, he stands at the gate, trying to decide whether to walk away or face what he's feeling. Finally, he takes a deep breath and stays. It's a small act, but for Tim, it's the beginning of a rise. He won't fix everything today, and he knows he can't erase his past. But he can choose to face it. He can choose to be present, and maybe for the first time in a long while, it's enough to start climbing back up. By the end of this section, Tim's arc becomes one of emotional honesty. His fall isn't dramatic, it's internal, quiet, and deeply human. But his effort to stand back up again shows a strength that doesn't shout, doesn't fight, but simply refuses to give up. And at Heartland, Katie and Georgie step into episode 7 carrying their own quiet storms. Storms that may look small compared to the adults' struggles, but feel just as heavy to them. Heartland has always shown that growing up isn't smooth, and this episode places that truth front and center. For these two, falling down doesn't happen in dramatic explosions, it's found in small disappointments, shattered confidence, and moments where the world feels unfair in a way only young hearts can understand. For Katie, the day starts with a simple plan, a routine ride that should have brought her joy. Instead, everything goes wrong. Her horse hesitates. She misreads the moment, and she ends up losing control, not enough to get hurt, but enough to shake her deeply. Her pride takes the real hit. Being a Bartlett-Fleming means growing up around strong riders, and she quietly feels she doesn't measure up. When she walks back to the barn, head down, trying not to cry. It's clear she isn't just upset about the ride, she's upset about not being good enough. Meanwhile, Georgie faces a different kind of fall. She gets news that a competition she has been training for might slip out of reach. Whether it's due to timing, conflict, or pressure, it stings her deeply. She spent weeks preparing, giving up free time, pushing herself harder than anyone else realized. Hearing that her efforts may not lead to the results she hoped for leaves her feeling helpless and frustrated. For someone as driven as Georgie, that kind of setback feels like the ground is disappearing under her feet. What makes their stories special in this episode is how quietly they unfold. Neither girl wants to talk about what's bothering them. Katie hides in her room for a while, sketching absently in her notebook, hoping the lines on the page will ease the tension inside her. Georgie rushes through her chores, trying to look busy so no one asks what's wrong. They both wear brave faces, but their silence says more than words ever could. Heartland often shows the power of family, and this episode is no different. Amy notices Katie's shaky expression. Jack catches the hint of disappointment in Georgie's voice. But instead of pushing them, the family gives them space. Just enough room to breathe, but not enough to feel alone. It's the kind of support that doesn't demand a confession, but reminds them the ranch will always be a safe place to land. Later, a small moment brings everything together. Katie and Georgie cross paths in the barn, both trying to avoid being seen. When they realize they're each struggling, something softens. They don't spill every detail, but they share a quiet understanding, a simple nod, a half smile, a gentle rough day. That small exchange becomes their turning point. Neither girl feels fixed in that moment, but they feel lighter, less alone, strong enough to try again tomorrow. By the end of this section, Katie and Georgie show what the episode's theme truly means. Falling is part of growing, and getting back up doesn't always require a grand speech sometimes. It just takes a moment of understanding from someone who gets it. That kind of strength matters most as the day unfolds at Heartland. The tension that has been quietly building finds its way into the open. Episode 7 doesn't explode with drama all at once, its twists come like shifting winds. Subtle at first, then strong enough to change the course of every character's story. The peace that seemed fragile in the morning begins to break as new challenges arrive without warning. It begins with an unexpected visitor, a figure from outside the ranch who carries news that no one was prepared for. Their arrival sends a ripple through the family, stirring old worries and creating new questions. The visitor isn't hostile, but the information they bring puts Heartland in a difficult position. It touches multiple storylines at once, acting like a spark dropped into dry grass. The family knows they can't ignore it, but they also don't have a clear path forward. The uncertainty adds a new layer of pressure at the ranch at the same time. A sudden conflict breaks out during a simple training exercise. A horse reacts aggressively, catching everyone off guard. For Amy, the moment punches straight into her deepest fear. For the others, it's a reminder that even familiar routines can turn dangerous in a heartbeat. The incident forces the family to reconsider their plans for the day, pulling them into a tense debate about responsibility, safety, and what it means to take risks for the sake of healing. It's a clash of perspectives that grows sharper the longer it continues. Lou, already stretched thin by her struggles, receives news from town that threatens her position even more. A project she supported is suddenly at risk, and people are pointing fingers. The stress pushes her close to the edge, and for the first time, she wonders if she's about to lose more than just a vote. She fears losing the respect she's worked so hard to earn. The timing couldn't be worse, and the emotional toll begins to show in small cracks across her interactions. Meanwhile, Tim discovers something troubling on the ranch grounds, a sign that someone or something has been lingering too close. He can't tell if it's a threat, an accident, or a warning, but it sparks an uneasy feeling he can't shake. His protective instincts flare up, adding fuel to the personal struggles he's already fighting. It's a small twist, but one that hints at a deeper storyline unfolding beneath the surface. Even the younger characters get swept into the rising tension. Georgie overhears a conversation she wasn't meant to hear, one that shifts her perspective about her upcoming competition. Katie notices the strain between adults and begins to fear that the family is heading toward a breaking point. Their worries blend into the larger story, showing how drama at Heartland affects everyone, no matter their age. By evening, the ranch feels different. The air is heavy, the mood uncertain. Everyone senses that things are changing, that the choices they make now will shape what happens next. Episode 7's twists aren't loud, they're deep, emotional, and powerful enough to push each character toward a hard truth. Sometimes the fall comes from outside forces, but getting back up must come from within. As the day at Heartland slowly drifts toward evening, something soft begins to settle over the ranch. The drama and tension that filled the earlier hours don't disappear, but they begin to shift, making room for the quiet moments that define the heart of this series. Episode 7 wouldn't be complete without scenes that remind us why. Heartland has always been a place of healing, a place where even on the hardest days, love finds a way to shine through the cracks. It starts with Amy, still shaken but trying to hold it together. After her difficult training session, she finds a peaceful corner of the ranch where the light hits the fields just right. There, she takes a slow breath and lets the weight on her shoulders ease for the first time all day. A horse she's been trying to help approaches her gently, nuzzling her arm. It's a small gesture, but to Amy it feels like a silent promise. You're doing enough. Keep going. In that moment, she finally lets herself believe it. Lou's moment comes, not in a grand gesture, but in a quiet conversation with Jack, sitting on the porch with a warm cup of tea. She finally breaks the silence around her worries. Jack listens without judgment, offering only the steady presence she has always depended on. When he tells her that she doesn't have to carry everything alone, Lou's defenses lower just enough for her to breathe freely again. The comfort of family spoken in Jack's simple, honest words gives her the strength she thought she had lost. Tim finds his own form of peace later in the evening. After struggling all day with guilt and frustration, he heads to the stables, where he notices Caleb working with a horse. Caleb doesn't ask questions. He simply hands Tim a brush and nods. The shared silence between them becomes its own kind of healing. As they work side by side, Tim remembers something he'd forgotten. Sometimes being present is enough. Sometimes staying close to the people who care about you is how you stand back up. Katie and Georgie share one of the episode's sweetest moments. They meet in the barn again. This time, not as two people trying to hide their pain, but as two sisters who understand what it means to fall. Georgie encourages Katie to try again tomorrow, reminding her that every good rider has bad days. Katie gives Georgie a small smile and tells her that even if the competition doesn't go as planned, she's already proud of how hard she's worked. It's a gentle exchange, but one filled with the kind of warmth only family can create. Finally, as the sun sets across the ranch, the whole family gathers for a quiet dinner. There are no big speeches, no dramatic confessions, just soft conversation, shared food, and the peaceful,